There has been some huge leaks when it comes to New World Aeternum, but I'm not actually going to show you it, I'm just going to talk about it, and that's for one major reason, and that's pretty much relating to New World Database. Let me explain. So the story actually starts with the New World Aeternum open beta details. New World Aeternum is coming September 13th until September 16th. However, it's only going to be up until level 30, and you can see it's going to start at these times. So it's going to start at 9 AM Pacific time on September 13th. I think that's 5 o'clock UK time, 6 PM Central European. And it ends the same time, but on September 16th. PC, console, everybody's involved. You know, you can go and get these rewards by getting a character up to level 25. We'd already sort of seen this, but we've now got the dates. However, you are supposed to be able to pre-download the open beta on September 11th at 9 AM. That wasn't quite true. If you went on Steam and you went on the Steam page for New World, you could scroll down until you see play the New World test now. Now, if you want to play the test, by the way, you have to do this. You will click play now, and I don't know what will happen to you, but for me, it basically let me download it straight away. For some people, you had to wait to get let in. I'm not sure what the prerequisite there was, don't ask me, I don't know. But then some people were able to download it and we were actually able to play it. I myself got into the launcher. There's a cool new loading screen with an actual loading bar. There's a couple of new settings. One of them is like SmartCast. So imagine like Rain of Arrows, you could do it when you let go of the button, right? Really cool. And we have the AMD DLSS equivalent. It's not actually DLSS. It's, I think, FMR, something like that. Can't remember what the AMD one's called. FSR, actually, I think. Because when you actually pick it, and I'm not sure it's going to do it, it lets you pick two clients. So if you pick the DirectX 12 version, you then get access to the AMD resolution scaling thing. Anyway, you weren't really supposed to be able to play it now. You actually can't play it now, because if I try it now, it's deleted all the data. But we could basically download the data and we could get into the launcher. And some people managed to actually get into the game itself. They'd left up this server in US West, but I didn't know that when I was in the launcher. Otherwise, I probably would have snuck in as well, let's be honest. But yesterday when it actually happened, it was my birthday, so I went out to my birthday party. Don't feel the need to say happy birthday. I'm not going to be able to stop you now that I've mentioned it. But when I saw that people were able to get in, I almost came home. I was like, hey, I want to go and try that. Anyway, some people managed to get in. So we didn't really learn anything from the people who were playing it. The key information has obviously come from the data mining, but it's sort of funny that Amazon just like messed up and left the server and people were getting in. That's hilarious. And then New World Database did what New World Database always does. It added the information to the PTR tab and you could see all of the new stuff. That's what typically happens, right? However, and I don't want to get too much involved in this, I don't think it was like a legal threat. From what I can understand is that Amazon Games reached out to New World Database and said, actually, can you not do that? Can you remove it? And they said, yes. Probably don't want to be annoying them, so that's fair enough. However, for a lot of people, the cat is out of the bag. A lot of people have data mined a variety of different things, and that's what we're talking about. But that also explains why I'm not going to show you anything. I don't want to give Amazon cause to ask me to remove it, nor give them cause to copyright strike me, if that makes sense. Hopefully that explains that. One thing that is pretty much confirmed is that there is in the database an information regarding a black dye. I know a lot of people would be excited about that, but don't worry, it gets a little bit juicier. And for me, I think this is probably the juiciest information, and it sort of seems to be confirmation of the kind of matchmaking that they want to do in Outpost Rush and Arena. Now, we sort of knew matchmaking was coming, but we didn't really know what it was. Was it going to be role selection? Was it going to be some kind of MMR, ELO kind of system, skill-based matchmaking? We didn't know, but now I think we do sort of know. So you can think of this as being in two sections. So this first bit is Outpost Rush. Arena literally just looks like role select. I'm not sure if Arena will have the skill-based stuff. I'm not 100% sure about that. Maybe, maybe not. But it's literally just going to be role select. And what it says is that you can have as many DPS or tanks as you want, but you're not going to have more than one healer. Now, I don't really know if that means that one side can have a healer and the other one can't, because it is not to one. Or if it would be smart enough to think, well, we have a healer, we need to wait for another healer. I don't know. So that one's relatively simple. Now for Outpost Rush, it's a little bit more complex, because basically what it says is that there is a max number of healers of 1 and a min number of healers as 1. And I think that this is per group. I don't think this is for the whole 40 man, because that wouldn't make any sense. And it says max DPS as 4, max tanks as 4, min DPS 0, min tanks 0. And what it's basically saying is that each group must have a healer, but then we're not bothered how many DPS or tanks. They're sort of just getting treated as the same. And I think that makes sense because healers are more powerful in Outpost Rush. than probably any other class. Now, to be defined as a healer, you need to have 200 focus and be at least level 10 with the life staff. That actually stops a couple of games that I would have done. Unbelievable. You also have to have a minimum level of 60 because you need that to enter Outpost Rush. Okay, that's pretty interesting in itself. That sort of suggests that the games might take a little bit longer to match. If you have 40 people, that means you will then need 8 healers. Now, I'm assuming AGS knows the average amount of healers in an Outpost Rush, but that makes perfect sense to me. If there's enough healers, do that. It'll be a little bit worrying if anybody has to sort of queue as a healer to get a quicker game. I don't think it's going to slow down the games that much. In fact, I don't think the skill-based matchmaking will slow down the matchmaking at all, and I'll explain why in a second. Now, for this skill-based matchmaking bit, this is sort of this bit. It seems to be called match ranking value 2 or something, or maybe it's just matchmaking rating version 2. I'm not 100% sure. Now, I don't really know what a lot of this stuff will actually do. We can have a constant, but I'm not really 100% sure what new D, new R, new V means. There's basically going to be a calculation that will try and decide how skillful you are in an Outpost Rush, and I assume an arena as well. Now, in theory, you could technically just use win rate, but then that wouldn't tell you comparatively how good you were. Like, if you win against the odds against better players, then you should actually gain rating more than just matchmaking win rate. So that's what this system does, similar to ELO in like chess or anything like that. There'll be some kind of like fancy formula there. I don't really care about it. It's not really something I'm interested in. It's the end result that bothers me. And then there is also this thing here called deck days, which I think is going to be decay days, i.e. if you don't play in this amount of time, your MR, your match rating value, will go down. Basically, you get a bit rusty. What I think this is intended to do is to balance the sides. I don't think this is intended to slow down the matchmaking. Basically, what I'm saying is I think they want to reshuffle the same 40 people rather than say, put all of the best people only fighting against the best people. It's not like League of Legends where you expect diamond players to be going against diamond players. What they will do is they will just take anybody of any rank, any rating, and then basically make it so that the totals are roughly even. So to put it in win rate perspective, let's say you win 70% of your games. Obviously, it's not win rate percentage, it's something more complicated. But then let's say I win 30% of my games. Well, our combined score would maybe be 100. Okay, great. We could then face off against 2 people who basically have a 50% win rate each. And the win rate would be the same. That would be the furthest way to combine those 4 people. You wouldn't want somebody with the 70% and the 50% together, and then the 30% and the 50% together, because they're less likely to be even. So I think that's the plan. Apart from for healers, I think that's the plan, which in itself should balance the game a lot better. We should start seeing closer games. We should see less stomps, because each side will be relatively as strong as each other. What it does mean is if you're incredibly, incredibly good, like the best player in the world, you'll probably have a lot of people like me who are not the best players on your side. That's just the way it's going to be, to make it vaguely even. It also means if you're really bad, I'm not that bad, I'm probably average, but it also means if you're really bad, you'll start getting better people on your side. Now, there's a second part here where there is a bit of an innate advantage to being in a pre-made. That's why people pre-made in the first place, right? The best players get together, they work together, they coordinate together, and they play together. So there's a bit of an advantage doing this. And the way they're going to do this, as far as I can work out, is basically give you what I think they're calling like a group-based scaling effect. So if you're on your own, you will be scaled 1 time. So let's say your win rate was 50%. And again, I'm using win rate. It won't actually be win rate. But then let's say you joined somebody else who was also 50% and you're in a duo. Well, now you will be scaled by 1.2. So basically 20% extra. So if you were both 50%, instead of your matchmaking rating being 100, it would now be 120. It will then scale by 25% if you're in a 3, also 25% if you're in a 4. So weirdly, if you are going to pre-make, it sort of sounds like a 3 would be the perfect number. And then if you're in a full stack, it's 30%, 1.3. I think that's what this means. This is my interpretation of it. And logically speaking, it makes sense. It doesn't punish pre-mades, but it might be if those numbers were tweaked way too high, that pre-mades will simply start losing and then they wouldn't do it. But I think this is a general common way of doing it in other games. Sort of makes sense to me. Doesn't punish pre-mades, doesn't stop them. It tries to counteract their innate advantage so that they also get balanced games and we get less stomps. Now, I'm assuming that all applies to Arena as well. Don't actually know about that. But for me, and I know I've just spent ages on this, but it's actually one of the biggest things here. It's huge, it's very important, and do you know what? I'm very excited by it. It's about 3 years too late, but at least it's coming. Now, there are a couple of other things that, again, I'm not actually going to show you because I don't want to get in trouble, but we've seen a recipe that will basically convert these kind of fragments into massive XP for that profession. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a cooldown on that or anything like that. These prices have gone up a little bit because of that, but yeah, that's the thing. There's going to be a new type of bait. Again, this isn't it, and it's actually going to be called exceptional fish bait. I'm not 100% sure how you catch it, how you get it, but it's going to provide a large boost to catching rarer and bigger fish in both freshwater and saltwater. Overall, there's actually quite a few changes coming to fishing. I'm not really a fisherman, so I don't really know them, even if I I can't explain them because I just don't know. There's some big changes coming. There's also going to be the addition, I think this is new, of some artisan tools. For example, the mining one I think is going to have mining yield, prospector's discipline, mining luck, and gathering alacrity. And they're relatively cheap, it's just a few prismatic. Nature's Wrath is apparently also getting a nerf. It's also getting reworded. It basically says limited duration empowers expire instantly, which is what it already does. But it also says that durationless empowers are going to be 50% less effective. So all the ones that you get, because it's not actually timed, they're going to be less useful. But of course you will still do the 20% damage. I'm not going to go through all the artifacts that are new. There's a couple that are interesting, but nothing really amazingly stand out. There's a new pair of medium pants though, that basically give you 15% elemental damage if you're in medium armor. That could be spicy for maybe some medium mages, perhaps. Completely side note, if you are a healer, it looks like the healing threat is getting reduced. As for artifacts, by the way, it does appear that you will be able to upgrade them to 725 using some of the in-game mats. But it looks like you'll need some kind of 725 resource, which you will get from the PvP zone, which is obviously going to be in Cutlass around about here. Or you'll get from the new raid. Maybe you'll get it from the Soul Trials, I'm not sure. There is a new crafting recipe that basically requires something from the raid, wherever the raid is. I think it's probably in Cutlass Keys. That will then craft you 725 as far as I know, but it's specifically only from the content. I think there's going to be like quite a lot of significant serious changes to the game, but understanding the full impact of them right now, not really fully possible. Now, some of you might be like, Jay, we don't care, dead game. Well, I'm not sure Amazon see it that way. It looks like earlier today, or maybe yesterday, sorry, they fired up 762 servers. That would accommodate around about 3 million people. Now, this has obviously been memed on because there's absolutely no way that New World is going to be that popular, but somebody told me that it's actually pretty inexpensive to boot up servers and then not use them, so I sort of suspect that's what they're doing, or maybe it's some kind of bug with the layering or something like that. I'm not too stressed about this. I think it's just a funny meme. I don't think this is anything kind of sinister. I don't think they expect that many people to be playing it even on console, right? Either way, the New World play numbers are up by about 50. Oh my god, that's insane. Huge New World is coming back. Probably not, let's be honest. But for me personally, I sort of like the look of some of these changes. I know some people aren't happy. There's apparently a change to grit, whereas instead of it being basic attacks and heavy attacks, the light attacks are going to go away. And some bruisers are like, oh my goodness, this will be unplayable. Well, yeah, maybe let's see what we get when we get it, right? Because we have also heard rumors about maybe lock-on being in PvP. We're not really sure if that's the thing right now. That could change the game in a big way. There's just so many unanswered questions that, I don't know the answer to. Otherwise, I would tell you. Or would I? I'm actually not under NDA, which is why I can make this video, by the way. But for me, I'm struggling with New World, to be honest with you. On Twitch, I keep joking about, like, one last payday. I'm just going to milk the drops, milk everybody. I'm going to milk you. But on YouTube, I just don't know what to do. I might do some guides to try and help people. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never known what I was doing with this channel from the start. Hopefully you've not found that I've wasted your time or anything like that. I'm going to continue to not know what I'm doing. My honest to God thoughts are, I don't really see myself playing New World in 6 months. But maybe. We'll see. Some interesting developments though. I'm sort of semi-weirdly excited. Excited might be a strong word. I'm curious. I'm very curious. What I am though is happy that you watched this. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye. Oh, don't subscribe, by the way, because I might not keep this channel. So I don't know. Do what you want. Live your life. Have a beautiful day though. Or don't, but do. Goodbye.